It's been a little while since my last garden update, so today I'm going to share what happened in my garden in May and June. It's officially summer now, and I have some exciting things blooming in my garden. I'll also share a recent trip I took to see the roses at Peninsula Park, a garden in Portland. I spent most of May planting out all of the seedlings that I grew and giving some of the extra plants away. I grew a lot of plants and it took a really long time to get them all in the ground this year. I don't think I would grow quite as many plants next year, but it's so hard to know how many seeds will grow when you're starting them out. I grew a lot of annuals, as you saw in my previous updates if you watched those, but I also grew a lot of perennials that I'll tell you more about later in this video. The weather in Portland has definitely changed over the years, and instead of easing into summer and spring, we've had some really hot days followed by rainy, wet, cold days, basically on repeat. Luckily, most of the plants have loved this change and things are really filling in. One interesting thing that happened in May is that my columbine plants all bloomed. I was expecting the new plants to look the same as the original, but I didn't realize that the color of the flower is more about the bees that do the pollinating versus what the parent plant looks like. The flowers that bloomed all ended up being these really elaborate purple tiered flowers, while the parent plant has a more simple look with red and yellow. I actually really like how the purple looks in my garden over the orange, so that was a good surprise. I'm planning to save seeds from one of these new plants and see what those flowers end up looking like. In June, the garden really started to fill in. There are a few things that I would plant differently next year based on how they're growing in, but overall, I love this year's garden and I'm excited to see all the flowers come into full bloom, especially the dahlias and straw flowers that are new this year. I didn't really have a plan on what I planted where, but I did narrow down a color scheme when I was choosing seeds, and I think that really helped. One of my favorite flowers to grow are cosmos, and every year I try to find new ones. They're all starting to bloom now, and it's really interesting to see which seeds are the strongest growers every year and how the different color combinations look together. The red Versailles cosmos were new for me this year, and I love the velvety red texture of the petals with the yellow centers. These apricot lemonade cosmos are also one of my all-time favorites. The peach color with the glowing yellow in the petals is so pretty. There are so many colors in these, and it makes sense why so many people love this variety. There's nothing else quite like it. I'm glad I tried to grow these xanthos cosmos again this year. They're growing so much stronger than they did last year, and the color's just so pretty. In the patio garden, things are really filling in. I planted more annuals in this area than last year, and I had a feeling they'd just do really well in this part shade area. I love how things are looking. I grew an absolute massive amount of basil this year. It's totally thriving, and I think I planted them a little bit too close together, so I'll have to stay on top of the pruning. I also have a few other vegetables growing over here: a cherry tomato, a mini bell pepper, and a shishito pepper plant that I bought as starters. I like having this container garden so far, and I'm going to try and find some more of these steel containers to make it all look more similar. The dahlias are starting to grow in, and I'm so glad I moved this yellow dahlia to a new place. I think it looks so much better here at the end of the path than where it was before. I planted a few different kinds of straw flowers and pincushion flowers around it, and I can't wait for those to fill in. If you remember from my last garden update video, I chose to grow a few vegetables this year for the first time. It's been going okay so far. The snap peas have given me a really good harvest so far, and I would definitely try those again. The zucchini I bought as a starter plant is doing okay. I noticed a few squash bugs on it, so I'm not sure it's going to make it through the whole season. I have one lemon cucumber plant that survived spring and it looks healthy, but it hasn't grown any fruit yet. The kale I planted got pretty much completely eaten by caterpillars. It's been fun to try some new produce, and I want to try a few different things next year and see what else works. In my hot garden area, I planted a lot of seed starts to help fill out all the empty spots. I ended up mixing annuals and perennials to help fill out the space a little bit better. It's always been a struggle to find plants that work, but I'm starting to figure it out. I chose a few perennials to grow this past year, and it was exciting to grow something a little bit different. These are a few of my favorite ones that I thought would work in my garden. The first one is Mexican hat flower. I love daisies, and these are such a fun variation of that. I also grew pale purple coneflower, which is another variation of echinacea. These have droopy petals that look a little like hula skirts. And then I grew California poppies. Instead of orange, I chose ivory. I love how delicate these look. I'm looking forward to all of these perennials growing up. I hope they do really well. I think having them will cut down on the amount of annuals I've been growing to fill my garden. And all these flowers are so unique, so I'm happy to have them. Another exciting update in the garden is that my Angel's fishing rod plant bloomed for the first time. This is a South African plant that has these beautiful cascading wiry stems that dangle bell-shaped purple flowers. I wasn't really sure about this plant fitting into my garden when I bought it, but it was just too cool to pass up. And that's all the updates in my personal garden. I've really been enjoying spending time here and being around all of the beautiful plants and flowers. At the beginning of June, I got a chance to stop by Peninsula Park in Northeast Portland to see the roses. The garden is extra stunning this year, and it seems like every bush is in bloom. We've had a hot summer so far, and the roses are loving it so much. The smell has just been incredible. This garden is such a beautiful slice of French design in Portland. If you're interested in learning more about this garden, which is actually Portland's first rose garden, then I have a video about the history of Peninsula Park that I'll link below. The roses should be blooming through October if you find yourself in the area and want to visit. That's all I have to share for today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, then I'd love for you to subscribe. I hope you're having a great summer season and taking good care of yourself. I'll see you next time.